Welcome to another Rugby League Down South podcast. This week, the latest young London Broncos star, ILIESS MACANI, after impressing at Leeds. Former London prop Danny Ward, now the Broncos under-19s coach. We hear from the newly formed London Broncos Supporters Association, and we hear of the rapid progress of Southend Spartans. Special welcome if you're listening on the totalrl.com website. Of course, now all these Rugby League Down South podcasts listed on their site. Let's start though with the star performer of the Broncos' defeat at Leeds, fullback ILIESS MACANI, the Tottenham boy. Scholars and Joe Mabu developed, in fact, playing what I calculate was only his fourth Super League appearance. While the game was on, seeing the reaction on Twitter of various different people, loads of positive comments, many of them I'm sure were going to make themselves known to ILIESS, particularly on Twitter. So I went to Underhill to meet him today. In fact, the squad were having a day off, so it was rather quiet at Underhill, but ILIESS, not living too far away, was going seeing a friend as well, close to the ground. Popped in and we both sat in the stand at Underhill and had a chat about the future, about the side, about what's going to happen this year, and of course his development of coming through the London RL production system. So here is my chat with the star of that Broncos performance at Leeds, fullback ILIESS MACANI. ILIESS, on Friday night, I saw the messages on Twitter. I was following the game. You seem to be impressing quite a lot of people, not just the followers of the game in the south, but sort of the wider spectators. How many messages and tweets and stuff did you have when you turned your phone on or got to your phone on Friday night after the game?
So many messages from friends, family, and my phone literally froze. Like, I had so many messages flooding through and stuff. But yeah, it was really good to see all the messages and positive feedback from the game. And from fans and friends, family and fans. It was really good.
What was the general consensus of the things that they were saying about you or saying to you?
They just told me really well done on my first game playing at fullback, which is where I'd like to play. But yeah, they just congratulated me on playing well and keep my head up and keep trying to work hard and keep getting better as a player.
So obviously you say you'd like to play fullback. This was your first real opportunity. Is that how you thought about it? Was this a sort of a day for you to sort of try and stamp your authority and say, this is what I can do?
Yeah, it was really it. Like a chance just to show that I can play in that position and what I have to offer. Really, yeah, it was really good to play there.
And you obviously played a lot of fullback in your development, I guess, up to here.
Yeah, started off on the wing and then moved to fullback and really liked it from there. Played a bit of centre last year, like for the first team, but yeah, I'd really like to play fullback. I feel that's where I can offer the team the most.
There was a fair bit of positivity, as we've already mentioned. What has been the feedback from within the club here, and the coaches? What have they said? I'm sure they've pinpointed and picked out things for you to look at and improve on, but were they roundly positive as well with your performance?
Yeah, very positive. You've got to be positive to keep moving on and moving forward. But yeah, there's always errors in the game and mistakes that people make. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, just pinpointed the stuff I need to improve on just to keep bettering myself.
Were you happy with Friday?
Yeah, it was really good. Bit disappointed to score a bit, but I think my first game at Headingley, it was really good experience just to see what it's like, and it was really rocking and just great. Yeah, great experience, great opportunity.
As the team, like you say, the result didn't quite go the way. It's been a tough start. It's probably going to be another tough few weeks ahead as well. But how are the squad bedding in? Because obviously there's still quite a lot of development and progression still to come from them.
Yeah, we're bonding much better as a team. Like week by week, we're getting better on the training field, and we're looking better. We just need to keep playing with each other and just get our confidence up, and it will come. We're just getting there. It's a slow process.
You got another tough game this week against Castleford, who've been going well this year. Another game back at the Hive. You obviously had a few games there now. Is it starting to feel like home? Or I know that people have played across the capital in various locations, and especially with the clubs that you've been within your development so far. But is that starting to feel like a real new home?
Yeah, it's like the fans and players have all settled in well, and it feels really good, really like comfy and homely, really at the Hive. And yeah, the fans seem pretty happy with it, and players really like the pitch. It's a really good playing surface, and yeah, it's a really good ground.
What about your development? We can't stray too far without mentioning the Scholars. I know it's a club that you, in a similar way to Joe Mabu, I guess, it started with them, and I know that you popped back not to play but to go and see what's happening there and to keep in touch with them. Again, a club that you probably hold quite close to your heart.
Yeah, most definitely. Scholars is where it all began for me, really, as a 15-year-old. It's like it really all started from Joe Mabu. He's the one that coached me and made me the player I am, and he's the one that moved me to fullback. So yeah, I owe it all to Scholars, and yeah, it's just a pleasure. I always go back to make sure everybody's okay and check up on fans and coaches and stuff.
I know that the last time I saw you, it was at the New River. I just popped along there one day, and you'd been back to chat to Joe. Have you chatted to him since Friday night, or has he sent you a text or any messages since then? Yeah,
I speak to him often. I was down there on Sunday to watch their game against Oldham, and yeah, I'm always down there just checking up on my local club. So yeah, just checking up on people and stuff.
And you mentioned you were there on Sunday. I think there was a few of you, wasn't there, from Broncos that had gone along on Sunday to support the club. I guess you obviously know people, and it's part of your history, I guess. But why did you all decide to go down there?
Well, because of the feeder club as well. Some players go down and play, so it's really good just to show our faces. And there's a lot of fans there. We get to talk to fans, and there's a lot of younger children there. So, helping the local community and giving back a bit, really.
Because it really seemed like the London developed players are the ones that really caught the headlines on Friday night, and that there really does seem to be, when people talk about the development, there seems to be a real bond with the people who have been brought through the system with the people who are either in the system or the system itself.
Yeah, it's like a really close-knit family, really. We're always just willing to help the younger players, and they're always willing to learn and listen. So it's just really good working both ways and just listening and seeing how they develop.
And I've often talked about the London thing, and the thing that quite often people don't understand, they don't get about rugby league in the south until you've been in it or seen it. Obviously, that's all you know. I mean, do you think that the London players have an advantage over maybe the Australians that have come in or the people that have come down from north, because you already know it and you already get it, whereas they maybe have to learn it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a culture, really, almost. And yeah, it's not hard to get, but it's a little different coming from Australia and then having to settle in London. But yeah, it's good to have them coming over and teaching them stuff, because it's always good to learn new things and learning what they do and how they cope with stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
But that London Rugby League thing as well, you mentioned the culture, but not just, I guess, London itself, but as in the game, going to Scholars, supporting everyone else, seeing what's going on in the system. I guess, you already know that because you've been through it, and I guess maybe gives you a bit of an edge for that passion for London, does it, over the others?
Yeah, 100%. You always want to fight for your club and where you're from and represent where you're from. And I always remember when I used to play when I was young, I used to love it when people would come down and watch and give me tips and help me out as a player. So I always want to do that and offer my help to the younger kids coming through, and just to show that we care and we're here for London, really.
What do you think about the future of Broncos and Rugby League in London? It's set to be a tough year, and there is the looming possibility of relegation, well, certainty for two clubs from Super League that will go down. But how do you see the sport in London developing? Do you think that it might go through a bit of a tough patch, as it has been through the last few months, but come out stronger, come out bigger, come out better, be able to build in the future? How do you see it?
Most definitely, I reckon it will come out stronger from this. It's a tough patch and everybody goes through them, but it helps us come closer together, and we're just fighting for each other, and it will pay off. And I reckon in a couple weeks it will really turn around, and you'll see what London can offer to the league.
Because people always pinpoint various different people, but I guess you're one of those that if rugby league didn't exist in London, we wouldn't be sat here now having this conversation.
Yeah, very much so. It's really, we really need it, and London can offer so much to rugby league. Some people don't seem to realise that, but there's a lot coming through London, and I think it's a great place for rugby league to be and to grow and develop and get people more aware of.
Because I guess, it's your career now, isn't it? It's not, again, some fans and journalists like myself look at it and sort of, the hypothetical speaking, this is your career, this is what you want, and you, I guess, want it to succeed because it gives you, a salary, money and a future.
Yeah, most definitely. We live and breathe rugby league, really, and we need to have it around, and we're fighting for it. We're literally fighting for our lives and our living, really. So yeah, we've got to have rugby league in London.
And the longer it stays, and the longer it's around, and the more successful it gets, the more people like you we get, the more people talk about it. It's hopefully a vicious, positive circle that way.
Yeah, hopefully it'll have a good multiplier effect and just help boost London rugby league in London, especially being in capital is the best place to start a sport and make it really popular. So yeah, we're hoping we can start on a platform and grow it from there.
And what about the rest of the season then for you and for Broncos? the team, like you say, you know, still improvements and still progression that you're going through at the moment. Do you ever think about relegation or anything like that, or is it literally just a game by game? Let's see what happens and let's see, you know, if we can do as best we can.
No, yeah, we take it game by game. Like, wouldn't even think about relegation because we know we're better than that, and we know that once we do click into gear, we will be really, really good. So we're just taking game by game, improving bit by bit, taking step by step, and we know we'll get there. We know we're good enough to start getting wins under our belt and start really turning some heads in the league.
And that positivity, I guess, it has to be there, but it's something like that driving nature that is going to contribute to getting those wins this season.
Yeah, most definitely. Everyone's fighting for it. Everyone wants it. Everyone's hungry at training. Everyone's trying to better themselves to try and get that first win. So it's not too far away, but we're working hard for it.
He's a nice guy. Stuck around to chat with ILIESS for quite a few minutes after we finished recording. Steve McGee as well, the kit man, joined the discussion as well as we stood in the corner of what was a very cold Underhill today. But great to chat with the London youngster, and plenty big future, an opportunity ahead for ILIESS in the future. And I know that people at London Scholars particularly enjoy seeing his success, and I'm sure nobody else more than Joe Mabu, who's nurtured him through the early stages of his career. Now, talking of the youngsters in particular, the under-19s of London Broncos couldn't follow up their win from last week, and defeat it was for them away at Leeds. Another tough day for them. The side now coached by Danny Ward, the former London Broncos Super League prop, and I've been meaning, no word of a lie, to talk to Danny for months. But we've been locked in a game of telephone tennis, really, where we kept missing each other's calls, but eventually, after speaking with ILIESS on my way home, we did connect, and I managed to have a chat with Danny Ward. Well, Danny, great to see you back involved with rugby league in the south. You retired, you had a year away, but they just couldn't keep you back away from the south, could they?
That's it, mate. Yeah, it's got that southern in me now. You know, my kids are southern, and it's like can't get away from the place. It's the greatest city in the world, isn't it? So they say. So yeah, it's great to be back down south, and great to be involved with rugby league down south as well.
So you ended up retiring and moving back up north, and I think you enjoyed a year of not having to think about too much rugby, but the opportunity and the decision was made to move back down. And once you moved back to London, was there really any hesitation in getting back in contact with the club?
No, not at all. You know, as soon as my wife and I decided to move back down, that wasn't anything to do with rugby. You know, we just decided to move back down because of we just enjoyed it being down here and loved the lifestyle, loved the city, and as soon as we knew we was going to move back down, I got straight in contact with Jonesy and Phil Jones at the club, and said, you know, if there's any way I can get involved with a scholarship or academy, you know, get me involved. I'd like to say I'd had a year out of rugby, great, because I'd had rugby league full time since I was 16 years old, leaving school, so I'd missed the game and got my love for the game back, and yeah, Jonesy said, come and get involved. So he was great, and yeah, it was just nice to be back round the club and round people I knew, and coaching such a good set of kids.
And this was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? So you know, you've been back involved for a while now.
Yeah, it was like 2012. It will have been the back end of 2012 that I come down and got involved. So yeah, it was a scholarship last year, and got involved with the first team a little bit towards the middle of the season, and then at the back end of last year, you know, got involved with Jay on the academy, giving him a hand. So yeah, it's a couple of years I've been back down involved now.
Is coaching something that you'd always wanted to do?
Never. No, you know, people used to ask me, do you want to get involved in coaching? I would just say never, because I just saw like how many hours it took. See what Brian had been doing, you know, Brian Market, and how many hours it consumed of his life. You know, everything was just rugby non-stop. You know, us players, we just used to clock off at, you know, 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, just go coffee, golf, spend it with your kids, do whatever, just totally switch off. So it was something I never imagined that I'd want to get involved in. But like I say, having that year out just reignited the passion for that. I realised how much I loved rugby league and loved the game and wanted to stay involved in it.
So, is it as realistic, or is it like that in real life? Do you find yourself engulfed by it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just it's non-stop. You just consume it, so it's all you think about. Well, I'm a man, it's not all I think about, but it just takes up that much of your time, watching videos, thinking of planning sessions, and it does consume all your life. And you think like after a game, I used to be able to switch off pretty fast from a game and put it to bed, analyse it for a little bit, put it to bed. But now you just spend all week and just thinking about it and what you could do differently, what was good. And it just consumes your life.
I hope
it's a good thing, in a positive way.
I'm sure. I hope that at some point this season I'll be able to interview a couple of people and sort of not mention the tough times that the Broncos have been through over the last 12 months. But when those times were going on, I mean, what was your position? How did you feel about what was potentially going to happen or not happen in the future? Because I guess, you were dealing with a level of the game and a level of Broncos that is really crucial to see them go forward.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about the kids down here, all the juniors and they're the real positives that people think about London Rugby League and the stuff that was going on with the first team. So it was really hard. It was tough on the lads, because it was something that they'd never been through before. So and they were just young kids and the futures to think about. So it was tough in that respect. But we just had to keep doing what we was doing, really, planning and keeping everyone positive and hoping that the outcome would be a good one in the end. So, the good thing about young lads is they just don't care. I don't think they don't care, but, they don't have the worries of older people have, the family men and things. So they just get on with it and they just know how to cope. I think they have that coping mechanism with the young kids where it just rolls off them and they just get on. And then as soon as they got back in, they just ripped it again. And they was amazing. Real credit to them kids.
People have talked about the damage that might have been done in that time as well. I know that a couple of players potentially had offers or deals or went to other clubs because that secured them a future, at academy level. But how much damage was done? You obviously someone who saw it the year before and has carried it through to this year. Did you lose a few players that you'd have liked to have held on to? Do you think you've got a slightly weaker squad than you had last year, or has the effect not been too bad?
I think it has affected. I think the time away that we had to spend. We missed a month of 6 weeks of training really up in December and over the Christmas period. So that kind of put us behind a little bit in that respect. I think the scholarship might have felt it a little bit more because they didn't come back till a bit later in the academy, but. It's just one of them things that you have to deal with in sport, is that you are going to lose players, whether it's through financial difficulties like that or just in general with transfers, and it's just all part of sport, is losing players and coping and just having to deal with what you've got. So you just got to stay positive with that and work. You can only work with what you've got, so you just need to put all your focus and attention onto that, really.
And what about your future now? Because Darren Higgins, who's been the player performance manager at Sheffield Eagles, is moving down to Broncos to become the head of youth to replace, or to continue, I guess, the good work that Jonesy did, Phil Jones, before he left to go to Warrington. So he's going to come in now and work as head of youth, but you're going to continue, I understand, coaching that under-19s team.
Yeah, definitely. I've spoke to Darren and met Darren, and we've had some good positive chats, and I've been told just to carry on doing what I'm doing and coaching the academy, which is perfect for me. I've loved every minute of since I took over from JMO before just after Christmas. So hopefully nothing changes and we can only start improving as we get Darren on board and start clicking things into place and working on the areas that we're behind in. So I'm looking forward to the challenge and Darren getting on board.
And as for that 19s team, a tough day on Saturday away to Leeds. I mean, a trip to Leeds is always tough regardless of the result really, but a win the week before against Wakefield, the first of the year, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more of those this year.
Hopefully, yeah. It was disappointing this week. Obviously after where we've been the week before, you know, it's how you can go from being so good one week to you know, being poor the next. It's for me to work out and, you know, and fix up, which is a frustrating thing. But yeah, great win at Wakefield. You know, the lads, we should have probably won his first two games, you know, away on the road to Widnes and Bradford. We had some good performances then. It was just been building, you know, so it was great to get a win, and such a convincing win, really. So it just lifts everyone's mood, and especially around the club, with it being, you know, the first win for the club as well. So it just gives everyone a massive lift, and hopefully there will be plenty more as we go on.
And I guess that's the challenge, is it, of the under-19s? Because when you've got a side that, okay, I mean, they're committed, they train, 3 nights a week, is it, on a regular week? So the commitment is definitely there, but because they're young lads, they're leading other lives, and you don't have, it's not a professional setup, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, in terms of, you know, that the first team squad, they're not living and breathing it every day, they've got studies and other things to do. Yeah. So you're always going to get that inconsistency, I guess.
You know, I'm to navigate the M25 on a rush hour, you know, for a couple of hours to try and get training 3 nights a week. So you do have them hurdles down here, and it's tough, but that just shows the level of commitment that these boys have to coming over and training and getting to games. You know, it's full credit to them, really. It's not something they have up north to do, but yeah, fair credit to the boys.
And as, you know, a former man who's played Super League in London and obviously holds it close to his heart and now working in it, how much is it paying you to see the struggles that the first team are going through at the moment?
Yeah, it hurts. You know, like I said, I love London. I come down here, you know, originally for 2 years and stopped for 4, and I just, you know, fell in love with the place and rugby down here as well, and how passionate people are about rugby. And it's hard to take, you know, when Northerners are just bad-mouthing it and you know, not having an actual clue about what goes on down here. They just kind of look at the first team and look at the scoreboard and the attendance, and that's all they look at. You know, they don't see everything else that goes into it. And you know, the hard times that we've had to deal with, and it does hurt about the first team. But it's a challenge, you know, we've all to get on board and build rugby league down here, and because we know we can, we know it'll be successful. We've just to stick with it because, like I say, it's a great city, and rugby league needs a strong team in London.
I've got to ask, how's little Wardy? Because I remember a couple of years ago now, when you were back in your playing days, came down to the Roehampton training ground, and Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook was throwing a ball around with your little lad. How is the family?
Yeah, he's good. You know, he's nearly 6 now, so he's sport mad really in general. You know, he did a bit of rugby last year in the minis at Elmbridge. You know, that he just loves it. You know, he gets that bug and used to enjoy coming down to training with me, and you know, I take him anywhere with a ball in hand. So yeah, he loves it. And now I've got a little girl as well who's 3, who just drives me nuts, as all little girls do. So yeah, there's never a dull moment in the household.
The former Super League prop in London, Danny Ward, now the coach of the under-19s at London Broncos. Best of luck for them for the rest of the season, and fingers crossed the development can continue. We mentioned there that Darren Higgins will be joining from Sheffield in just a couple of weeks now, not too far away. He'll be the head of youth, taking over from Phil Jones, as we mentioned in the piece. I'm sure we'll catch up with Darren in the next week or two as well. Also hoping to talk to Rob Powell. He had his first training session at Medway Dragons just this week. So now the coach of their open age side as they launch or set out on a 5-year journey for bigger things. We'll talk to Rob Powell. I'm sure I mentioned his time at Broncos as well on the programme in the next few weeks. Now though, onto the London Broncos Supporters Association. Last week the association was formed. I was at the meeting at a pub in central London. The driving force behind the group is Steve Newcombe, who we've talked to on the programme before. Found out as well at the meeting that he lives on the south coast, so I travelled up with his better half, as she described herself during the meeting last week. But of course, you may well remember initially they were looking to form the Rugby League London Independent Supporters Trust. So things have changed slightly differently. Not to go into too much detail, but an association comes with less stringent rules at the moment than a full-on trust. So the association has been formed now. Membership will be free, as you will hear. But basically, they're looking to keep the ongoing things and supporters liaison really going forward. So they have the London Broncos at heart, although they are, of course, supporting the game wide across London, but mostly concentrating on the London Broncos, which is why they've renamed as the London Broncos Supporters Association. So after the meeting in the pub last Thursday, I had a chat with Steve Newcombe about what had happened in the meeting and what the next steps will be, and potentially how you could be involved and be a member of the London Broncos Supporters Association. Steve, well, we've just concluded the first London Broncos Supporters Association. Is that what it will be from now on?
Indeed, yeah. I think people thought the word Broncos was important, even though it doesn't flow as well as independent does. We haven't got a vowel now.
What was the aim of this first meeting for you?
I think it was just to get going, to get something going. People have been chewing it over for quite a while. We sort of engaged with people at the end of last year, and we thought if we could get people in a room on a Thursday night in the middle of London, then we've got to have something. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the numbers and the enthusiasm of people that have turned up today.
And what do you think? I mean, what was it that you wanted to try and decide to sort of put in motion to say, from now on, these are the things we're going to work with?
I think, obviously, I had my ideas, and I don't want to force things down people's throats, but I think the sort of meeting...
That's what happens when you get an association, I guess, with the committee members.
Yeah, but I think the members were pretty much in agreement. They'd been thinking of the same lines as I had. We've got some strands of work, if you like, that I think we can make a difference on. Engaging with the club, engaging with the fans, and trying to do our bit if we can to get fans back, engaging with the wider game in London, and doing things to respect the history of the club going back to Fulham. And if we can do some work in all those areas, I think we'll be doing a good job. And if this association can put on a do or two before the end of the year, I think it would be a real achievement.
And, if you're doing all these things, you mentioned Broncos there and the club a lot. You put Broncos in the title. Are you aimed more towards Broncos? Are you looking at any of the other teams across London, or is it just now purely a Broncos?
We're a Broncos organisation, and I think people made it clear they support the Broncos. I support the Broncos. I look out for the other semi-professional clubs that are playing in the South East, but I'm a Broncos fan, and we want to keep the Broncos at the top of the pyramid of rugby league in the South East. And if we can do a little bit to help with that, then that's all good.
How influential is this group going to be?
I like to think it'll be very influential. I think the door has been ajar with the club, to be fair to them. I'd like to think that we'd get a good hearing from people involved at the Hive as well. And I think when we open up to fans and when we open up to the wider game, I think we'll get a good reception there as well. So I think we can do some really good stuff.
And what is the plan to open up to them? How do you plan to target them, or by when?
Well, I think we just take it as it comes. People have resolved that they want to have another open meeting probably in June. It'd be nice if we could hold that at the Hive, and that's a possibility that might be there. And obviously then we can get people in who are coming to a game in any case. But I think with the cross section of people here, I didn't know everybody in the room. They didn't know everybody in the room. We're going to catch each other's eye now all the time, and their friends are going to catch other people's eyes. And we're not that big a supporter base that this couldn't go viral quite quickly.
And you talk about the fans and the people that you've got here. I mean, how big will this organisation be? How big? How many members? Who are you trying to reach?
We want to reach everyone. I mean, I think we're down to 200 or 300 season ticket holders at the moment. So we're down at bare bones for a Super League club to be in the position we're in is quite difficult. The Supporters Trust at Rochdale own and manage a championship club on a membership of a few hundred. So if we can build up to a few hundred membership in the first year, and I say put a couple of dues on and make people feel good about themselves as much as anything else, because we haven't had much to feel good about in the last few years. So even if we make ourselves feel good about ourselves a couple of times, that's mission accomplished as well.
You talk of those dues. You mentioned in the meeting, strands that you were thinking that the association could investigate. Nods all around the room for a Hall of Fame potential later in the year. Just tell us a few of the ideas you've got and a few of the ideas that sort of came from the room as to what this association might do this year.
Well, I think, the Player of the Year is an obvious one. The old Supporters Club used to have a Player of the Year, and even when it was a moribund organisation, it would still do a presentation at the end of the year. Even that stopped now. So I think if we were able to put on an end-of-season do for Player of the Year, that would be a real achievement. And I think if we could inaugurate some greats of the club into a Hall of Fame, and again, do that at a do that does them justice, that would be a great achievement. We've had some fantastic players playing for us over the last 30-odd years. And, some really exciting football these blokes have played over the years. It'll be a nice gesture if we can recognise people like Steele Retchless and Peter Gill and Mark McClendon or whatever for the contribution they've made to our club.
But also you're looking for people to help you with the running of the association as well, not necessarily to be committee members or to be overly committed, but to look to do, bits of social media, to do bits of press releases or help, anything that anyone feels they can contribute. You talk about logos and design and stuff like that, anything they feel they can contribute to your organisation or your association.
Indeed. I think we had to have a meeting to kick it off, and we had a vote. We had a show of hands, and we agreed to form the association. But we want to be as informal as we can. And if we have these strands of work going on, and people think that they can contribute, then they're welcome to do so. We're going to be open to signing up members. We've actually signed up members, obviously now, because the people who are here have signed up to be members. We're open for membership. If people think they can contribute in the social media, or they're producing newsletters, or talking to local clubs in their area, then sign up and let's get going.
It was a very positive meeting on Thursday. Lots of positivity around in the room. Of course, concerns and worries and people saying that they've seen things happen with the London Broncos over the last year or two, going on longer than that they're not overly happy with, and they're hoping that the Supporters Association can help out with over future months and years. I think that there was a lot of things that were discussed, a lot of ideas that were bandied around. I guess the association will now set to work on those things and try and put things in place and come up with an action plan and points of which to do over the next few months. But I'm sure you'll see plenty more public awareness of the group over the next few weeks, as well as they're talking about putting flyers out at games. And of course they want to ramp up their membership, and then I don't know, potentially get the thoughts of all their members about where they should attack first. So I'm still open. I'm still encouraging the London Broncos Supporters Association and the work that they do. I saw today as well that the Cumbrian teams, Workington and Whitehaven, together with the RFL, have launched a review into rugby league in West Cumbria. So they're going to look at various things. It's going to report back later in the year. I think the word merger is never too far away when things like this come around. In fact, Andy on Twitter, I put the discussion on Twitter and on our Rugby League Down South Facebook group. I said, based on a comment, in fact, that I'd had from Ian Golden, who works with South Wales Scorpions, but I said, could a review of rugby league in the South, similar to that in West Cumbria, be useful for the sports development? You can develop that, or you can comment. You can discuss that on Facebook and on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, search Rugby League Down South. Andy at Ian Ramsdale, though, on Twitter, said, we'll be interested to see the Cumbrian findings. What's the answer? Dare I say the word merger? Well, I think that there's that's something that will definitely be looked at in the review. Diane as well asking as well, did I ask ILIESS about plans for Southern development should Broncos be relegated? She thinks a plan would be crucial in terms of things going forward. London Broncos Loyal on Twitter, at @BatTheBroncos, they are as their handle, said, I simply think the Broncos need a review. We should leave Scholars, All Goals, Oxford and Hemel alone. RLDS, hashtag, good to see, needs money. says back the Broncos. Hector McNeil, the chief executive or one of the directors at London Scholars, say we certainly need a whole sport strategic review. We are probably more of an outpost than anyone, and few in the game get it. You may have read the thoughts of Hector in the League Express a good few months ago now, but he outlined the plan of how he thinks things should go forward, and some form of review or strategic review is what Hector's saying. And if you'd like to contribute more to the discussion, then of course head to facebook.com and search Rugby League Down South. You can find our page, you can like it, and then you can get involved in the discussion. And finally, we finish with a piece with the Southend Spartans. I mentioned on Twitter that over the next few weeks we will do more with the amateur teams across the south and what they're doing in terms of their development and their season. So Southend were one of the ones that got in touch. I fixed up a chat with their chairman, Steve Drew. Well, Steve, you're only 2 years into this this project, really. This will be your third season if I get my numbers correct, and so far it looks like you've had a very, very successful couple of years.
The hunger for people playing rugby throughout the summer and learning the new talents that are involved with rugby league is fantastic. We've grown every single year. We've added teams every season so far. It's phenomenal, the growth that we've got and the hunger for the sport down here.
Just tell me about that first year, because it was 2012. You decided that you would set up a rugby league club because your son wanted to play some rugby over the summer, and it was unbelievable, I guess, was it, the amount of people that were interested in coming along?
Yeah, it was a bit hit and miss. I'd been coaching rugby union in Southend for 5 years or so, and I'd done a couple of years taking my son up to Brentwood Elvers to play, and I had the situation where lots of his teammates were saying, look, we'd love to continue playing rugby during the summer, we'd love to learn rugby league, but mums and dads won't take us a 60-mile round trip. Can we have a club down here? So that's what spurred me on to do it, and the first training session, March 3rd, 2012, we had, I think, about 22, 23 kids turn up. And it just grew and grew and grew from there. We started with the single under-9s team. That grew. We added an under-7s team. We added a second under-9s team. And we added an under-11s team for the end of that first season. Lots of hard work, but everyone enjoyed it. We kept gaining throughout the season. Obviously, when the rugby union season finished, we added a few more. I suppose about 50% of our players in that first year had never played any kind of rugby at all, which to me was a real great indication of the hunger for the sport down here.
Do you know, we've talked many times on the programme about sort of the success and the reasons, or the fact that there are people playing rugby league. I mean, why was it that people wanted to come and play with Southend? You talk about the potential travel that you were doing, up to Brentwood Elvers, which was your sort of closest club. But I mean, why did people want to play rugby league? What have you found? Why did people come to you saying, "Can I play for your club"?
It's a difficult one to answer, that one. I think with some of the union clubs around here, they're a bit elitist. They only want the best playing for them. Whereas my approach, particularly with kids, is that they grow at such differing levels. A kid that can run and catch and is really quick at age 9, once he gets to sort of age 12, age 14, his body's going to develop differently. He may well still be very good. He may have actually dropped off a little bit. At the same time, the kid that can't even catch a ball at age 9 may develop and grow and be something really special by the time he's 12, 13, 14. And by having that sort of outlook on things, I try to make sure that every kid, regardless of their ability, gets on the pitch, has fun, enjoys themselves, so they stay with the sport and they develop with the sport. And I think that enthusiasm and that want to give every child an opportunity, encourage kids to come back, and they you know, the end of the day they enjoyed it, they came back. I think that's the real crux of it, is make it so that everyone enjoys it.
And this year you've got age groups across the board going from way down in juniors to I guess an open age side. In terms of the club itself and sort of where you're going, I guess it's important, isn't it, that you have all those levels?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to allow for development throughout the years, sort of thing. This year we've added the under 13s, the under 15s in. They're playing in the league. Our senior team this year, we tried a bit of entry league rugby last year, but we're going into the Premier League this year. I mean, the senior team, we started training back in February, and we're regularly sort of getting 30-40 lads rocking up at training.
Brilliant.
It's really superb. We're looking at starting touch rugby within the next few weeks as well, which will hopefully open us up to a whole different group of people. Again, just to build on the excitement there is behind rugby league down here. We're always going to, as Spartans, one of my key things is we're always going to remain just a community club. We're not going to go down the road of becoming semi-professional or professional. I think there's a role for us within the community to deliver to the community, and by having connections with the guys at London Scholars, Hemel Stags, London Broncos. If there's any cream that rises to the top, as there inevitably will be, we can pass those players along that pathway to those clubs who are set up at that sort of level to take those kids on. And hopefully, it's something that players that do go down that pathway always remember they started at Southend Spartans, and as their career progresses, they'll come back and they'll give a little bit back to the community that they started in.
It's very refreshing to hear, a club just sort of stating their purpose and sort of saying this is what we're here for. Great to, fingers crossed it'll be fairly sustainable at that level as well with the numbers that you've got. How easy has it been to get to this stage? Because we were talking before we started recording about it's taken over your life in a way, and I think it does for many people who have volunteered for rugby league in the south. But how easy have you found it? How difficult has it been to get the club to this point?
It's had its own challenges, but it's not a case of being easy or being difficult. It's about having the enthusiasm and having the people around me with the same sort of level of enthusiasm just to take the club forward, and having the wanting to pay attention to the detail to make sure it's done right, and the end result is all the players, regardless of who they are, what age they are, come and have fun and feel part of the family.
And we're hopefully going to talk to many more amateur clubs over the year and during the podcast. But so give us the details as for, if people are out that way, if people know of friends that have gone out that way, whether they're studying, working, new job and all that. If they are interested, where do they find out more and the details of where and when you train, etc.?
Okay, our web page is www.southendrugbyleague.com. You can reach me on email via info@southendrugbyleague.com. We're also on Twitter at RL Spartans, and we're also on Facebook, Southend Spartans RLFC. They're probably the best ways to get hold of us.
They can get all your details from there, I'm sure. Well, best of luck for the season. Can't be too far away from starting, can it?
3rd of May, we've got the Nines Festival up in Bedford, so really looking forward to getting out there and playing. There's even a danger of me tying on my boots at some stage during the season.
Do you know, I forgot to mention as well during the interview with Steve, the chairman there of Southend Spartans, that they provided the mascots for, I think it was the Australian team, as part of the Rugby League World Cup semi-finals at Wembley. So they're on to big things in Southend. Good to see. And fingers crossed the development of Southend Spartans can continue. And again, like I say, refreshing to see a community club just saying, look, we're going to be a community club, and if we get the cream of the crop, we're going to palm them off and put them on a route on which they should go down, which I think is very admirable to see. And the more clubs like that exist, the better as well. But thank you to Steve Drew, the chairman of Southend Spartans, for talking to us. If you have a suggestion as for a club, for a story, for a person that we should be talking to on Rugby League Down South, then please do get in touch. You can email rldownsouth@gmail.com. You can tweet myself at Ian Ramsdale, or you can use the hashtag RLDS on Twitter. And be good to take your suggestions. And like I say, amateur clubs that have tremendous stories going on from week to week that we should get on the programme. Be delighted to hear of those, and we'll make sure we feature you, your club, your team, your story, or somebody else's story that you can point us in the direction of on a future Rugby League Down South programmes. Well, that's it again for another podcast, another one for this week, and we'll be back with another one very soon.